This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
Good evening. Welcome inside the RebZone. Kevin Bollinger alongside Running Rebels head coach Marvin Menzies. After a week where the team got back on track a little bit.
Good news and bad news, right?
Yeah, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, a little
right.
thing. But you see the potential of building the team towards March a little bit. I think we saw it in Boise.
I think that's everything, right? I mean, at this stage, it looks like the team out front is just got to take care of business, and they're going to end up. There's 7 games to go, so a lot can happen in 7 games. However, if Reno holds true to serve, then they'll end up being the regular season champs. And so, as a program, you always want to try to compete for either regular season or win the tournament. And so the focus has always been for us to get better, which is in alignment with playing our best basketball in March anyway. So we're good. When you take a loss, is hurt, right? I mean, that's just the nature of the business. But it's how you respond to the loss. What are the steps to get better? What are the steps to not distract you from yourself? We've got a lot of things that we need to do better. Defensively, probably is the biggest thing. We're up and down on offense, but defensively, we got to get back to a lot of different things that we can discuss as the show unfolds. But that's the big deal right now. And then from there, we just keep grinding, man. There's no shortcut for success in this conference. You just got to put in the work.
Well, let's start looking back at the week. We're going to begin with Saturday's game against Fresno State.
An important standings battle and a fight for third place as Fresno State rolled in for a Saturday matinee. It was back and forth early. Chris Clyburn hit a 3, but Fresno's Braxton Huggins followed with a triple of his own. Watch the give and go. Jonathan Chamachachua to Noah Rabotham and back to JTT for the dunk. Then Noah knocks down a long 2. Watch Hardy with the steal. He heads the other way for the lay-in. But Fresno was on fire. Deshaun Taylor from 30 feet. Then Taylor with the wide open lane for the lay-in. A little fight back from the Rebs. Clyburn with the steal, and he gets the dunk on the other end. UNLV was still down 45-33 at the half. The Rebels came out solid to start the second. Hardy with the nifty alley-oop to Jong. Then another steal by Clyburn, who breaks the other way, makes a move, and he throws it down. The Rebs started to feed Jong inside. He also hit the glass and had this follow slam. Then Rabotham feeds Jong for the dunk. Clyburn picks up another steal and gets the lay-in, and then Rabotham drives, and he gets the bucket in the bump. Fresno's lead was cut to 6. That's when Huggins took the game over, hitting 3 after 3 after 3, and closing it out with a little shake and bake to the rim. He had 31 and Taylor had 18 to lead Fresno to an 83-65 win.
Every time it's like we got a run, they kind of answered, whether it was Huggins or Deshaun Taylor or whoever else was hitting threes. Yeah, it's a little bit deflating, but it's one of those things that if they make a tough shot, you kind of just got to go back on the next play and kind of have amnesia. But you kind of got to tip your hat off to them. They made some tough shots like that tonight.
All right, so we talked about some defensive breakdowns. Where were the defensive breakdowns in this game that gave them so many good looks?
First let me say, there weren't as many that once you go back and watch film, it's always a little different once you go home and you watch the film. But there weren't as many as I felt, the emotion of losing. You go, man, we got to get better at this, we got to get better at that. Then you go watch film, you go, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Like we're getting to the right places. Now we got to, contesting a shot, right? We're getting there now on the catch, and then we don't get in and invade their airspace, as Preston Laird, one of my assistants, always likes to use that term, and really get up and really challenge the shot. And so those kinds of little things. And then we got lost a lot in defensive transition. That hurt us a lot. And that was an area we were hurting bad in the beginning of the year. And then we shored up. And we took a step back in that area last night. I mean, they had 23 of their 80 whatever was just off of pushing and scoring. They're a good team. They're a great shooting team last night. But we're we're capable of playing much better than that with our defensive transition, as you asked. So the defensive transition, challenging shots, not just getting to the midline, but then stepping up and taking the charge, reading whether the ball handler is still being defended by your guy, or whether you need to help. You know, those basketball IQ things and experience things are the areas that we got to just keep grinding and getting better at.
Fresno had 15 threes. UNLV had 3 in this game. Obviously, that shows for the score disparity.
Right.
Is it baffling to you how a team can shoot so well from three-point range on a Wednesday night in Boise and then come back home and struggle shooting the three?
Well, you got to give Fresno State credit. I mean, they listen. Shooting threes really starts with guarding the ball off the bounce. You know, Coach Brown and I were talking about that the last couple of days. Like, if you keep guys in front of you, then a team like Fresno State, who really feeds off of making that extra pass to a wide open three-point shooter because somebody helped or rotated, they do a really good job of that. I mean, they had 3 or 4 of their threes where somebody was in the paint and threw it out for a 3. Well, if that guy never gets to the paint and you can keep the ball in front of you and guard it and make them take tough twos, then you really help yourself at not being able to or being able to defend the 3. So the problem was last night, that was part of it, but it's just a matter of getting our guys to keep guys in front of them off their closeouts. We got to work on our footwork. We got to work on a lot of technique and angles, and that's the growth, that we need to develop here in a relatively short amount of time. And it's not stuff that we can't do. You put them in drills and they do it, and then you transition in 5-on-5 or a game, and then that slippage is just too great right now. So we've got to shore that up.
You know Braxton Huggins well. He was unstoppable.
Right.
When he gets rolling like that, is there anything a team can do to stop somebody who's in that much of a zone?
You know what? There are some things you can do, but it's hard to do them when you have, Bittner, who can also shoot it, Taylor, who can also shoot it. They got an arsenal that's got more than one bullet in it. When you can focus on one guy or 2 guys, you can maybe start trapping the ball screens, but they didn't set a lot of those ball screens when they were getting those threes. He was taking some of those off of just one-on-one basketball. And that's length, athleticism, doing the right things technically correct on our side, which we're developing at.
Well, on Wednesday night, UNLV went up to Boise. They put together a solid 40 minutes for a road win in a place that UNLV hasn't had much success at over the last decade.
The late night menu in effect at Taco Bell Arena, as the Rebels and Broncos had a 9 o'clock tip. Boise came out firing, scoring the first 8 points of the game, capped by this inside bucket from David Wacker. They hit 10 of their first 13 shots. UNLV used the long ball to get back in it. Joel Tombwe nailed a 3, and Bryce Hamilton followed with a triple. Then Chris Clyburn drove to the hole for 2, and Noah Robotham got in on the trifecta shooting. Watch the patience from Clyburn, who gets his man in the air and then lays it in. The defense stepped up as well. Mbake Jong with the strip. Amari Hardy grabs it and heads the other way. He gets the hoop and the harm. The bombs continued from three-point range. Nick Blair drained a pair of triples. Robotham hit another, and Hardy connects from downtown. But Boise maintained a slim lead throughout the first half. Sharp shooting Justinian Jessup hit a 3, and the Broncos led 43-39 at the break. UNLV came out with a purpose in the second half and got rolling. Hardy gets inside and dishes to Jong for the lay-in. And when Robotham fed the big man down low for another 2, the Rebels took their first lead of the game with 17:23 left. They kept the pressure on. Hardy and Robotham both dropping a couple of more threes. Jong came up with a big block on the defensive end. Then the Rebs in transition, and Clyburn goes strong to the hole for the bucket. 6 minutes to go. Jong turns it over. Boise goes on the break, and Alex Hobbs lays it in. That would tie the game at 68. UNLV outscored Boise 15-4 the rest of the way. Clyburn hit a corner three. Then with 2 minutes to go, Rebotham from deep, and he knocks it down. Blair forces a 5-second call on Derek Alston, and the dagger. Rebotham with the bounce pass to Clyburn. He throws it down, and the Rebels were celebrating. UNLV hits 14 three-pointers, and they shoot 59% in the second half, while limiting Boise to just 29 points. An all-around gutsy effort as the Rebels get noisy in Boise, 83-72.
They're a good team at home. They shoot the ball well with Jessup. He's probably one of the best shooters in the conference. And, Hobbs is a real solid player. So, we knew we'd be in a shootout, but to win this game, we had to beat them with defensive stops. And I think when we needed to get those stops, we did. JDT had amazing blocks, and Mbake was huge on the midline. Guys were active. So I think at the end of the game, that won it for us.
We talked about the good shooting from the three-point. I think a lot of that also came from the extra passing that we saw with this team, but they were really knocking down shots and making the extra pass on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and that was the difference between the way that we were defended on the road and the way we were defended at home. You get a small window of opportunity to get off that ball and give it up to a teammate against Fresno State, the way their defense is designed. And typically, actually, Boise does a really good job of that, too. They didn't play their best basketball game that night, and we played a really good game, especially in the second half, I should say. So I think that the ball movement is a byproduct of, one, your mentality, and then two, your connectivity to your teammates. Three, lastly, is what does that defense allow you to do? Are they sagging? Are they all packed in the paint? Are they up and aggressive? And then you have to adjust your offensive attack based off of your defensive, how the defense is trying to dictate you. So I think that was why we were able to share the ball so much better against Boise State. And I thought that Fresno State, again, they had a great night. You just got to tip your hat to them. They had a great night, and we did, and they earned the W. But in Boise, that was, the chairs were flipped and we came out victorious. So it's the grind of the season. February is a great time.
The last 10 minutes up in Boise, from a defensive standpoint for UNLV, was as good, I think, as you guys have played in that period. You really took them out of what they wanted to do and just really changed the complexion of the game and didn't allow them to make a run to get right back in that.
Yeah, and at the top of the show, when I alluded to defense, that was one of those moments where you see what you're capable of doing as a team. When you watch that film and you watch it even as it's unfolding, and guys are stunting early and getting back to their man, and they're almost in two places at once and keeping the ball in front of them, challenging shots and rebounding. You feel good about not just your ability, but your capability of actually doing it. And that's what we did in the second half. And it didn't carry over to the next game. So that's where the challenge is, and that's the consistency of doing it the correct way every single time. And even when they score, you get right back at it, as Noah alluded to when he talked about the Fresno State game. You just got to keep grinding, because some teams are going to make tough shots, but you got to push on.
Well, we're going to take our first break right now. When we come back, we are going to look at the week ahead. UNLV gets rematches against Air Force and San Jose State. Stick and stay. More RebZone on the way in just 2 minutes.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
UNLV announced a new program that will allow Rebel football season ticket holders a chance to lock in the same price for the first year of UNLV football at the new stadium in 2020. The Faithful Fan policy allows people to purchase season tickets for the 2019 UNLV football season at Sam Boyd Stadium. The price you pay will be the same for comparable seats when UNLV moves into that new stadium that's being constructed near I-15 and Russell Road. Season ticket holders will also get to pick their seat in the new stadium, with priority being given to Rebel Athletic Fund members, which you can get involved in for as little as $25. Athletic Director Desiree Reed-Francois says UNLV is listening to the feedback of fans.
One of the pieces that our fans said that was really a big concern was pricing. People didn't want to be priced out of the new stadium. So we heard our fans and we created the Faithful Fan pricing structure. And that's really to reward loyalty. So if our fans purchase season tickets in our last year in Sam Boyd Stadium in 2019, then that price is locked in for 2020.
The offer excludes suites and VIP club tickets. Season ticket prices start at just $99. The Rebels play 6 home games this season, beginning August 31st against Southern Utah. All right, Marvin Menzies back with us. We're going to look at the weekend. We're going to focus in on Air Force on Tuesday night at Thomas and Mack. Obviously, things went wrong in Colorado Springs against them, and players looked a little confused defensively. How much different is preparing for this game now that you have the tape of them actually on the floor instead of trying to simulate it in practice?
Right. I think, well, that helps, obviously, but then more footage of them against other teams obviously helps. More experience by our guys on the floor trying to do some of those things. So, you know, they're a tough team to guard. There's no question about it, and they've just got a lot of guys that are very disciplined, mature, experienced, and they made shots that night and had a great crowd that night. I'll be honest with you, I am looking forward to playing them again just because you want that opportunity if you're a true competitor. But I'm also looking forward to playing them at home. So there's a couple, you know, moving parts there. Dave does a fantastic job of what he has to work with there. And so it'll be a battle. We always battle with Air Force, and I think it's going to be one of those fun games to watch.
That's a Tuesday night tip at the Thomas and Mack. We'll preview the San Jose State game on Fox 5 News at 10 on Friday night from the Bay Area. We're going to switch gears straight ahead. The National Signing Day earlier this week for football. UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez sits down with our Vince Sapienza to talk about the players coming in and an early look at the season ahead. That's next as the RebZone rolls on.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
Welcome back to the RebZone. Vince Sapienza alongside head football coach of UNLV football, Tony Sanchez. And Tony, we're here talking signing day. Not as big of a class as we saw in December, but just as important.
Absolutely. Just kind of, finishing touches onto it. Still got a couple in our back pocket, which is good. Never had that luxury before, but excited about it. We brought, 2 defensive linemen in. We got McGregor, and he's got 3 years to play. Junior college player, but again, a young one, so he was a qualifier coming out. And Naki Fahina, a great player out of Lawndale High School. They won a state championship, and he had 20 sacks. Real impactful guy, player of the year over there. So good to add those guys. And then, Gamlin Howard, San Francisco City College. We felt like we really needed to get more athletic and have more depth in the safety area. So he's doing that for us. And then Houston, a corner, again, long, 6 foot, a little over 200 pounds, at Long Beach City College. Excited about him coming in and be a real impactful guy. So again, there's some, Beckman, offensive lineman. He's kind of for the future, and then, and then the last one we had was Jordan McRae, and Jordan's a 5th-year senior transfer out of South Alabama, Drew Techman's teammate in high school. But with Keys going, he kind of adds that long body again who has experience. And we already brought 2 high school kids in, so we've taken care of the future, but also brought a guy in to be impactful.
I know we talked about this in December when you signed 16 guys. You have to be a little bit more picky, a little bit more choosy of who you're bringing into the program, who you want to play Rebel football. And it's one of those things that you talked about in December, but I think holds true even now. Yes, you're playing for the future. You're getting guys for the future, but you're also getting guys that can make an impact immediately.
No doubt. It's finally, getting ready to go into year 5, and we'll be over the 80 number in scholarships. We've got distribution where we need it in all the different positions. So, from your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior class, you've kind of taken care of the needs. So you're never going to have, a mass exodus of, 30, 35 scholarship kids. So you have the holes that we had in the past. So it gave us the ability to go ahead and bring in some impactful guys that can make a big difference come the fall.
Everything right now obviously on paper, and I know it's always an exciting time when you see what you have on paper, the depth that you have, the exciting new recruits coming in. I know it's only on paper, I know it's only February, but the excitement for this group, how is it different than your previous years?
Well, you return so much experience. Again, you look again offensively. We were talking earlier. We have 10 offensive linemen that have started a game. You got guys like Armani and Max that are just going into their junior year. They still have 2 more years in the program. A young guy like Kenyon Oblad, who's got a live arm coming on up. Charles Williams just going into his junior year. Defensively, guys like Gabe McCoy, guys like Javen White, who really played good football last year. Jericho Flowers going into his senior year, and Then you add, add guys like Vic Viramontes into the class. You had Howard, who I talked about, and you got guys like Evan Oshry coming back, and there's so much depth coming back. Again, going into spring football, 97 guys. That's unbelievable. We're only going to have a roster of 107, so the majority of our guys are already here on campus, ready to rock.
Spring practices start. I can't believe it's that close, but that's kind of the next step as we build toward the season. Yeah, last week of February, so we're excited about this. We're only a couple weeks away. We're doing it about a week earlier this year, but excited about that. I think it's going to be good. It gives our guys a chance to spend a little bit more time in the weight room. If, on any unforeseen injuries, it gives you a little bit of extra time. So we're excited about getting going. Tony, you can't get rid of us. Thank you so much. We'll be chatting soon as practice gets going. That's going to do it for us, but the RebZone rolls on right after the break.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.
All right, Coach, good luck this week. Two big ones. San Jose State, 7:30 at Thomas and Mack on Tuesday night. Air Force, sorry. Yeah. And then at San Jose State.
Well, doubleheader. We'll play them both the same night.
Hey, why not? At San Jose State on Saturday. But we hope to see you at Thomas and Mack, 7:30 on Tuesday night for Air Force. And we hope to see you back here next Sunday for the RebZone. Here's the Running Rebel Plays of the Week. Good night.
Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show was presented by RC Willey. Your home, your way.